Welcome back to 10 Cents Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie. And across from me is my co-host, Dusty Nixon. And behind me is Flatum, because Adam could not be bothered. He's going to be bothered. And we were just talking about how much we hate college sports.
No, mostly just college football.
That's fair. I do.
It doesn't seem that the rest of it is quite as broken as football is, because football is like real broken.
It's broken. Basketball seems to be half broken. We'll see how I feel at the end of today, because Iowa State is playing Baylor right now, and their ex-NBA player will probably play for Baylor, and that pisses me off.
Ex-NBA player. I have not kept up with. I've been so obsessed with watching my proud alma mater, the University of North Texas Mean Green, have the best season in school history, and then have their coach hired away, and then subsequently have the entire offense taken with him to Oklahoma State. So
what's that like?
Yeah.
We're
peas in a pod.
Me and you, yeah. Watching UNT do great this year, watching Iowa State they didn't do great this year, but then watching the entire team go to Penn State. That's super not fun. But anyways, yeah. But no, Baylor's got a player that was drafted in 2023 to the NBA. I don't think he actually played an NBA game, but he was on multiple 10-day contracts and the G League. And then he re-signed with Baylor like mid-season, and he made his debut against TCU like, I don't know, a week ago. So basketball is almost as broken as football. Don't get me wrong.
I searched Baylor NBA player, and the first thing that comes up is Seth Davis breaks down the eligibility chaos in college sports.
That. Yeah. So yeah, basketball is not any better than football.
Yeah, and they also made it where if you play at a junior college, it doesn't count for your eligibility. So like, there's going to be guys playing college for like 7 years.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. Anyways, car podcast. We are a car podcast, not a sports podcast, because that would have way more views. Like way more views.
We would be making money doing this probably.
That's probably true. Yeah. I mean,
although that's a crowded market too, though.
There's a lot of them, but there's also like specialized. You could like, because there's the UNT sports guys, followed by the Iowa State sports people. Like Cyclone Fanatic has their own podcast, and they focus on Iowa State sports. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of sports. We could talk about anything.
You just need wealthy alums. The key to college sports and college sports media probably is having a good legal program and a good medical program and a good engineering program.
It helps. Yeah.
All of which are lacking at the University of North Texas. Engineering's not bad, but
I'll say Iowa State's got engineering, but yeah. But anyways, since we're not doing a sports podcast, we can try to focus on cars. And this is just going to be the Z-Boys podcast now.
Yeah.
Because Adam's not here to stop us, and that's really all I've been doing.
We can rename the show the Tromboners.
That's the title right there. Oh, fuck.
Which is appropriate, because I've spent the last month and a half making mine louder and more obnoxious. So
good. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Where do we start? Let's start by... Actually, I have a funny story. We can start with the funny story. So, last summer, maybe fall, I convinced E-Man that the only logical way to get his intake done on his Datsun, because he's got the RB swap Datsun that he blew up the bottom end of his RB, and then I think he had it rebuilt, and then he was waiting for this custom, like, mate the flange from one intake with the ITBs from another one, and so he had to like make all that a thing. And then the guy that was supposed to weld it like never finished it, and so I told him, I was like, well, I know a guy. Actually, I know a lot of welders, but I know like a fab guy, and
he can take all of the factors together, and then he can fabricate them.
Yep. So I convinced him to ship it to Factor Fab and Scumbag Booney and Max into doing it, and basically at their leisure, out of the goodness of their heart. And so I sent it to him, and then I don't know. I think that was last summer, maybe this fall, and we just kind of I didn't hear anything about it, and then realized it was about Christmas time, and like I'm going to be going back to Iowa, and I was like, hey, did you ever get that? And no, it's still there. And then so I messaged Booney and see if he was around Christmas time, and I was like, hey, I'll be driving through. It's like to go the Des Moines way is 15 minutes longer than to go the air quote fast way. Because when you're driving Columbus to Northwest Iowa, there is no fast way. It's just it's 13 hours.
You can make it 13 hours and 15 minutes or 13 hours and 14 minutes.
That's really all it is. So yeah, it's the same trip. You go across all the way through Indianapolis, then you go all the way across all the states, and then you get to Iowa City, and you either go straight or you take a right, and then that's basically the only difference. So, and since we do not fly on holidays, never have, probably never will, and we have dogs, it was just pile everybody into the truck, and just drive. And then, so yeah, got a hold of Booney. He was going to be around on Christmas Eve, and so gave me a good excuse to stop by, say hey, catch up with him and his family, and then grab the intake, of course. Obviously, of course, I made sure that E-Man knew it was a huge inconvenience to me, very far out of the way. Obviously, he should feel bad.
Who wants to see Booney? Why would you choose to do that?
Yeah. But yeah, so did that. But never confirmed with E-Man that I was actually doing this. Because I saw content. I saw some content here. And so I did not confirm with him that I was going to do it. I did not confirm that I stopped in Des Moines and picked it up. And then during Christmas break, because I stayed at my parents' place for, what was that, 3 days? Whatever, a handful of days. And then, that's not what I wanted. Uh-oh, what's going on?
We're good at podcasting.
Oh, no. My screens are all screwed up. So now when I try to share my screen, it's sharing the wrong screen.
Don't show that tab. Oh.
I wonder if I can fix that. Let's try this real quick. Sorry, everybody. This is terrible podcasting, but I don't really care. So I'm certainly not starting this over.
I was looking at what the route was, and I hadn't seen that Google will suggest places to add along the route. And it knows me pretty well because the first thing that came up was the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force.
It's a great museum. Yeah, we went there during, what holiday was that? Labor Day? Memorial Day?
I mean,
which one's first? The Labor Day?
Memorial Day.
We went there over Memorial Day, and then Labor Day we went to a different museum because that's just what we do. I fixed it. Well, that's completely backwards, but so the reason I know what happened. So the reason was I got home from work and had some time, so I did some iRacing. And when I do iRacing, my computer is hooked up to those 3 monitors behind me. And then when I do the podcast, I take 2 of those cables and I plug them into these monitors, and then I unplug the 3rd one. And when I did that, I plugged it in incorrectly, and I didn't shut the computer off. And just so now 1 and 2 are swapped.
HDMI 2 is HDMI 1 and vice versa. It's
swapped. So normally what I do is I have everything shut off, I swap everything, and then I turn it on, and then it just automatically goes to the right spot. So you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
We've been podcasting for a really long time. We're very good at it.
The next podcast, I already know what the title's going to be. Don't know when it's going to be, but I know what the title's going to be.
Is it going to be 10 years?
Yes.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I started listening to this 10 years ago.
Yep, it's been 10 years that we've done this. Wild. But that's a different podcast. Actually, no, I thought I had it fixed. I don't have it fixed. It's all screwed up. You can see the logo behind the screen because it's the wrong size. You know what? I'm not going to fix it. I don't even care. I don't even care. So every once in a while, you're going to see...
Apologies to the YouTube crowd.
Yeah, you're going to see the Kanga Motorsports logo on the side of the screen, showing the screen on the overlay of the screen. And that's fine. I don't care. Anyways,
Well, you're welcome, James, for the extra exposure.
it just shows the K and then the TS.
Longtime listeners will recognize it, though.
That's true. Yeah, so had some time between like all of the Christmas stuff going on, and thought it'd be funny to make a ransom note. And so I found a magazine, and then clipped out.
Okay, step one was finding a magazine.
My parents are old adults, so that there was magazines, so we're good there. In fact, it was an AARP magazine.
Oh, I was going to say, good housekeeping. What are we working with here?
I was assuming there's going to be like South Dakota travel magazines because those are everywhere, but no, AARP magazine.
Sweet.
And so I thought it'd be funny to make just a ransom note, and I basically was going to say, "We have your intake," and then fit it together however I can make that work. And luckily, I was able to get titles that had "We have your in" and then "take." And then I didn't know what, like, monetarily what I wanted to put there. So I just found one that said, "We need," and then $1,250. And then I just took a picture of it, put everything away, and then didn't do anything for almost a week. So then I was home on, this would have been Saturday after New Year's. And Ema texted me and asked if I had picked it up. And I was like, yeah, but I thought the box was really light. Let me go look. And then I just kind of drag my feet a little bit, send him a picture of this ransom note. And then he didn't say anything back to me for a minute. And then told me, "I have your intake." But he had to like argue with himself whether or not this was a joke from me or if this was a joke from Booney and Max, and that they were waiting for him to pay them a certain amount of money that they didn't discuss beyond with like getting it back to him. So he wasn't sure if he should just message me or if he should immediately message Booney.
That's what you do when you do work for your friends. You wait until it's all ready, and then you tell them how much they owe. Oh wait, that was me.
That was you. Yeah, so that was my funny that I did. So yeah, got him his intake. So now anytime you see E-Man, you should ask him where Dotson, because that needs to be done so we can do Z things with him.
Yep. Don't ask me about the Camaro, but ask him about the Dotson.
Ask him about the Dotson. Yeah,
I had a funny because Marketplace knows that I am a fiend for looking at listings of cars that I have no intention of buying. There was a blue 240 or 260 or possibly 280 came up with like a miscolored, like a mismatched fender on the front. That I could become Texas E-Man for like $5,500.
It probably doesn't have a floor, but that's fine.
What's that?
It probably doesn't have a floor, but I guess it's
Correct.
Texas. So.
It did say it needs floor pans, but they all need floor pans.
Yeah, it's fine. So. That's easy. You're doing that to a Camaro. You already know how to do it. How hard could it be?
Yeah, you just put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, any Z that's not $25,000 needs floor pans.
That's fair. And those are the Z's that E-Man likes to send me, because he thinks I need one too, as if I don't already have a 300ZX that I need to be working on. I'm slowly working on, but I don't have the funding for 3 projects. And I certainly barely have one for two, because the ZX is just kind of sitting at this point. But
say, who among us has funding for one project?
That's fair. January is a pause month to catch up, I guess, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I kind of went the opposite route.
No, I burned bright from about July to December, and then now it's kind of let's catch back up. So yeah, we can talk about that. So where we left off was that I promise I'll fix this for the next episode. Just kidding. I'll fix it eventually.
We'll realize at the start of the next episode that it's still not correct.
Yeah, so where we left off was that I had gotten my block heads and all the machine, or I guess the lower rotating assembly that you had put together down in Texas. And the plan was to get it all put together around Christmas time. And so then basically spent all of my free time during Christmas break that I wasn't in Iowa just kind of piecing it together, because right around Thanksgiving, I ordered the few things that I knew I was going to need. Nothing crazy. I didn't have any awesome Black Friday deals or anything like that. I just kind of ordered the last little bits that I needed. And then before Christmas break, I pulled the old engine and everything, the transmission, all that stuff out of the car. And as I'm kind of disassembling things off the old engine and putting it in a pile, I was like, these are things I need for the new engine. This is the stuff that can stay on this engine. Then we can just have this be a spare that I'll figure out what to do with it another time.
And then that pile over there is total garbage that should never see a car again.
And I was really hoping there wasn't going to be any total garbage, because this is how I got off track at Autobahn in a totally running and driving, everything's fine car. Granted, I was using the spare transmission, but everything was running and driving and fine. That being said, it was a nice, harsh reminder I should be double checking my nut and bolts way more often. The number of finger tight and kind of loose bolts, the only way I can describe it is unsettling.
Yeah, a car with
every mount solid.
So solid. All of the suspension is rod ends.
Yep.
And solid motor mounts.
Yep.
The solid motor mounts is probably the bigger.
That's the biggest
component
one. Yep.
Here. Yeah, but not that the VQ isn't smooth as a sewing machine when it's running at high RPM, but
yeah, I mean, it wasn't anything that could have really been catastrophic. But yeah, it was definitely more than I was expecting to see. But oh well. But yeah, the got me was that I pulled everything apart and then realized that close. That the clutch disc was completely destroyed and worn out. And I was like, man, I only replaced that 2 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, I've abused it relentlessly for 2 years, and it doesn't have springs, so it's an unsprung 6-puck. So yeah, it's probably about time. And then I think the very next day I saw Sean Kresbach post one of his as well, kind of the exact same condition with about the same timeline. I was like, oh yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, it looks the material on that, is it ceramic, metallic, what on the pucks themselves?
Yeah, I guess I don't know exactly what it is. It's kind of a ceramic.
It looked more like a kind of an organic material than because we were in a 6-puck in the Camaro, but it was very it was very obviously metallic, and it whenever you get some heat in it, it gets very angry, engaging and disengaging and stuff like that. And I was kind of curious about the difference in the material and the difference in standing up to heat and anger and abuse. But
yeah, I mean the pressure plate and the flywheel had a little bit of heat marks to it, but nothing beyond what you would expect them to have in a car that you're racing. And then you just kind of see it's just starting to chunk, and there was, I think, only one of them actually had most of the material gone. Everything else was mostly there. So I mean, it was definitely time to replace it. So it's a good thing I did pull the pressure plate off and take a look at it. So that's definitely a note that I'd made for myself to keep a closer eye on. The timeline of when that is, or any time that I have a transmission out, I need to be at the very least taking a look at it or planning to replace it.
Yeah, which hopefully isn't that frequently. except in preventive maintenance ways.
Yeah. So so definitely like a few things I was taking note of is just kind of the things I want to do better on preventive maintenance rather, because this could have been a gigantic pain in the ass, come next year had I not been this deep into it.
Yeah. Like just having a consistent season where you just drive the car, then you can start learning the lifespan of things because you're not just constantly chasing other issues.
Yep. Yeah, because it was, I don't know, it's like that was the one thing that jumped out at me, was like that I had to replace that was worn out. Everything else was stuff I expected to replace or was upgrading or whatever. And then the other thing was shortly before Christmas, I was sitting there kind of like going through my plan of attack on how I wanted to assemble it. Like the factory service manual is not really well laid out on assembly. It's good at disassembly. And so you basically read it from, complete engine to bare block, and then that's it. Like it basically works its way down disassembly and then doesn't really work its way back assembly. You have to like read the factory service manual backwards.
Yeah, you just turn Hebrew and then go back.
Yeah. So it's not really great when it comes to that. So you're kind of like skipping chapters. So I was kind of getting a plan of attack on how I wanted to, I guess, the order of operations for assembly. And I mean, and it's really not that critical, but it was just, I was thinking about it. And then there was a guy on YouTube that had kind of walked through his build and kind of had done like an assembly video. And like the first video, and he's about to start assembling everything, and he pulls out this like billet girdle, and he's like, yeah, while I'm in here and I'm going for power, I felt it was really important to get this billet girdle. And I'm like, fuck. Because he wasn't even planning.
There was more money we could spend here.
Because he's like, yeah, I'm not like, I don't have any like crazy cams. I'm not really planning to spin it super high RPM, but I do plan on adding power. And it's like, so this is good insurance. And I'm just sitting there like,
you're like, wait a minute, I'm doing all those things.
You're saying all the words. You're saying all the things. So of course I didn't even watch like all of his video. I just like got like the first 5 minutes into it, and he says that. I'm like, oh fuck, he's right. It was one of those things. So like I thought, I was like, should I message Clark? Should I message Joe? And so far, every time I've had that question, it's been like, if you have to ask, just fucking buy it. Like you know what the answer is. Do I really need Inco 625 bolts? Yes, you do. Just do it.
Do you want to be asking yourself that question as you're driving down the back straight at 130 miles per hour?
That was exactly my thought. I was like, at the very least, I know that I did what I was supposed to do. So if something isn't right, I at least had the right parts. Yeah, so of course, right before Christmas, ordered it. That actually showed up the day after I got back from my parents, so I could jump right back into assembly. And I was worried because I ordered from Concept Z, and I immediately got an email saying, hey, we can ship you this, but the clutch disc isn't going to be shipped until like maybe in January. I'm like, great. I was like, well, that's fine, but can I at least get the girdle? I'm like, yeah, we'll ship that first. Okay, cool. That's fine. So, yeah, so I got that. And of course, you get this really fancy billet girdle, which I don't know why, but they had like no plan for using the windage tray with it. That's like not a thing. I don't know if they just assume everyone goes to like a non-existent dry sump that you can't just buy. But so like all the people that comment are like, well, it's a street car, so it's not that big a deal. I was like, it's not a street car. It is a big deal. I need it. So then I take my brand new billet girdle and I drill and tap holes into it so I can have my windage tray. And of course, it's thicker than the factory one. So it actually had the lips on the windage tray now touch the bottom of the oil pan. So you got to like remove those of just the little lips on the edge.
Because it's taller.
Because it's taller. So yeah, so it like this turned into this whole like machining and grinding and hammering and fitting project that I was not anticipating. It fits and it's fine, but I was super not pumped about it.
yeah, there's no free lunch. Like anything that you think, oh, I'll just
buy
change this one thing in this giant system of things. Something else is going to be affected by that thing.
Yep. But
so, fun fact that I learned about the Nissan VQ family of engines. I've always read that the HR is like it's a totally different engine than what the DE is. Totally different engine. I've always been like, yeah, okay, whatever. So, Matt Beck brought us a VQ 37 block to check out that he's going to be doing in his 240. And we unload it, and it has the whole bottom, like upper half of the oil pan type area attached to it. And I'm like, do you have the girdle for the mains? And he looks at me like I have two heads. And I realized that
totally,
this entire bottom section is one piece, and it has the main caps in it. And there's no girdle, there's no anything else, because the entire bottom, like 5 inches of the engine is one piece.
Yep.
Like, okay, maybe the HR is a slightly different engine than the DE.
We'll finally admit that. Yes.
Maybe there's a reason that it's like basically doing an entire engine swap to put an DE in place, or an HR in place of a DE versus, just doing an LS.
It's easier to do an LS than it is to do a DE swap or a HR swap.
Yeah, which
is insane.
All the sense in the world. But
no,
that's also why there's no drop-in standalone ECUs for an HR, because nobody deemed it important enough to do. I guess, I don't know.
Well, that second throttle body really fucks with things, because like even doing like the Nexus R3, I almost ran out of inputs and outputs with the DE. I would have with the HR.
Yeah.
Just crazy. But yeah, other than that, got it all put together. Got the engine in the car. Transmission sitting next to the car as I wait for my clutch disc, which could be here in January. It might not be in January. I don't know. It'll get here when it gets here. And at this point, I don't really care. So yeah, to slightly derail this for just a second, Daily Engineering did make a dry sump for it at one point, but it appears to have been discontinued. I can about imagine not a lot of people bought that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can put a dry sump in it, but my God, what a hassle. I don't know. The oil pump that I have in there is rated for over 8,600 RPM, so that's kind of like, I was talking to Joe because he's probably going to talk to Clark before he starts like getting deep into it. But yeah, the plan is to he'll remote in and kind of make the minor changes we need to for the cams as well as the new injectors, because I'm running basically the injectors out of a Charger, I think. I don't know. They're Deutsch whatever.
So you're takeover ready.
Yep. That's what I want. Yeah. So other than that, it should just be basically modifying it to match those injectors, and then the new cams, of course, just to get it to run and verify that it's working the way it's supposed to. And then we're gonna probably just kind of creep up on the RPM limit and kind of let the engine tell us where it makes sense to stop. But yeah, the stretch goal would be 8,600, and then somewhere around 9,000. And so
sweet.
It's going to be a totally different animal, that's for sure. Because I was on my sim the other day just screwing around at Watkins Glen playing on project cars too, and there's an E30 that it's actually really fun to drive. But you can change the gears in it, and you can change the gears to really close to a CD09 and with a similar final drive. And that thing revs out to like 9,000 RPM. And I was like, this is going to be fucking awesome.
How am I going to be able to drive with this problem down here in my pants?
Yeah, I got a flat bottom steering wheel. It's fine.
Just don't turn too far.
Yeah. But yeah, so got it all put together. At this point, it's just sitting, waiting for the transmission to get installed. And then that's fine, because I wanted to get caught up and have like no credit card money or anything like that before I started doing any tuning or anything like that. So kind of January is the perfect time for that because Christmas is expensive, and now we can get caught up.
Christmas isn't that expensive.
Yes, it is.
You don't have a kid, sir.
No, the problem is December is always expensive because we moved to a new house in December, and guess what's due in December? Your homeowner's insurance, all that shit. So it's like everything is due the week of Christmas. So like December is the month of bills, and then to add on top of that all of the race car shit I'd been leading up to that. It was just kind of like maybe it's cool to just sit at home and not do anything. Because every time I leave this house, it's $300. Mm-hmm. But then I go on Facebook Marketplace. I was like, well, that'd be cool. And then that's another $300.
I did that right. We did a little trip for New Year's. And like the night before we left on New Year's Eve, the night before we leave, I opened up Marketplace like an idiot. And so Fujifilm has this camera called the X100, and it's fixed to like, it's a prime lens.
That's not a new camera, is it? Like, that's a vintage camera, correct? Or am I completely making it up in my head?
It's a vintage style new camera. This one, the one that I ended up getting is the most recently released one, which I think is the 6th one in the series. But
okay.
So it looks like a 35 millimeter SLR camera from the outside, but it's a digital camera. It's got like, you can full manual control it as far as the aperture and shutter speed and ISO. And it's got built-in filters to do like film coloring, and it does it really well. Like it does it way better than like just applying filters and
right.
Whatever your favorite image editing software is, even the good ones. And there was one right down the road for a price that was better than I had seen it for a little while. So we left to drive to Arkansas, and I stopped at the Kroger parking lot and picked up a camera on the way.
I get that.
And then we came back, and I started looking at the to-do list for the car and was like, yeah, that probably wasn't the smartest use of that money, but damn, this camera is fun. We went to a horse track, and because we were in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and there's a horse track there, and I'm like, this thing's it's a 35 millimeter equivalent lens. Like it's horrendous for shooting action of something that is on a track way in front of you, but it's also 40 megapixels, so you can like crop way in, and it still looks great.
Oh man,
on social, and
that's fucking huge.
Yes, it's the highest resolution camera I own, and I own two like pretty higher level Canon cameras. They're both 26. So
wow.
And so yeah, I played with that the whole time we were gone, and it was like I've been eyeing these cameras for like 7 years or something like that, and it was like this. Yep, this is everything I thought it would be. It's like completely limited and kind of a weird use case, and also it's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So you got to find those hobbies that are outside of this, like cars and racing. Because like I've been kind of going that like missing skating again. So it's just kind of like, man, I kind of need that. I need that hobby outside of my hobby. Because I did photography for like 10 minutes, and I get it.
Yeah, my camera bag and the hooks in the garage with bicycles hanging on them. That's the two distractions from the car things. But
no.
So how close are you to being? Or I guess you're just waiting for transmission stuff, and then you'll be ready to do first fire with it.
Yeah, so I'm just waiting for the clutch disc, and that's really all it is. So it's just big. I'll throw that in, bench press the transmission in, reassemble everything or reattach everything. I'll do a like a dry pump, kind of like what we would do after an oil change on the MZR. You would have in the NPO1, what you would have to do is you basically pull the plugs, you shut the fuel pump off, and then you run it until it builds oil pressure. Mm-hmm. So my thought process is that before I do my first fire, is that I'm going to do that with just a starter and get just do it until it builds pressure, and then finish installing everything, and then let Joe remote in, make sure like nothing obviously is wrong.
Yeah.
Before I fire it. So. Yeah, I inadvertently got a ton of time on that on the first engine because I couldn't get my nats deleted correctly, so it just sat there and spun and spun and spun and wouldn't fire. So it had plenty of opportunity to build oil pressure long before it started. But no, my thought process.
Everything's good everything's good and assembly lubed up. So
no, I figured I'd just do a quick sanity check because I mean it turns over by hand just fine. The valves aren't interfering with the pistons. Like it's like I'm fairly confident it's assembled correctly. I'm not too worried there, but yeah, I just want to kind of cautiously work my way up to firing it and running it and then revving the piss out of it. Just to give it, just in case something isn't right. I want to catch it before it becomes a problem. But, I mean, everything seemed fine. Everything looks right as far as I can tell. So, but yeah, with how Clark was talking about those cams, like I don't think they'll be like crazy far out from what the tune was before. So no,
probably just more room to optimize it.
Yep, exactly. And we do have the adjustable cams that are they're just at the nominal setting at this point. So if we really wanted to get into the weeds and start getting more advanced or more retarded with it, you can pop those caps off and
you should always get more retarded.
I did send that was the joke that I sent to.
We're going full retarded.
I sent a picture of the instructions to Joe, and I was like, "So am I advanced or am I retarded?"
It depends on the day and the subject matter.
Yep. But yeah, at this point, we're just sticking with the middle because again, we'll see if it makes sense to hard adjust those rather than just sticking with VVT, but.
I was say because yours has VVT on
intake.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess the HR added variable on both intake and exhaust, I think, and then the VHR has some other combo.
Yep, that sounds about right.
It's all very straightforward.
Yeah, and that's why none of them are interchangeable.
Yeah. Which Matt's gonna put 35 heads on a 37 block is his plan, I think. So
that'd probably be fine.
Yeah,
because I think the head
they're both HR.
Yeah,
so.
I'll say the head gaskets are the same. Yeah, no. The only thing I did that I stubbornly didn't want to take apart the front end of the car, and I was like, I've taken this transmission out so many times by myself, I can just take it out from under the car. I'll just lift the engine straight up, no big deal. And then it's like, oh yeah, I had the transmission on the floor. I started to pull the engine up out of the car and immediately ran out of extension with my lift or hoist and forgot how long my long tube headers are. So I would just, I still would have to like tip the whole stupid thing to get the long tubes out. And then, so it just turned into this whole like, hold the engine up, take the long tubes off, pull the engine out. So by the time I put it back in, I had this like system in, but yeah, it's like I certainly could have just taken the time to pull the whole front end off, and it would have been just slide it in. So that's next time.
Yeah, the way we built the headers on the Camaro, it's going to be one of those where you put the headers in and then you put the engine in on top of them because 2-inch primaries.
Yep. Yeah, the S14 was that way. You had to lift the engine, but you couldn't completely lift the engine out. So you had to like lift it just enough and then tilt it. It was a whole deal. This wasn't quite that bad. It was just lift the engine up so you can get easier access to it. And then I bolted right in. It was no big deal. But
yeah, because it's probably next to impossible to get to the header bolts with it down in there.
No, it's just super inconvenient because you have to get some from the bottom, some from the top. Whereas like if you lift the engine up, let's just say 6 inches. If you lift the engine up 6 inches, you can, it's right at the strut towers.
Top of the shock towers.
Yeah, and it's super easy to get to everything. Because when I installed the long tubes the first time, it was in the car, and I had it on the lift, and I kept going back and forth, like lifting the car, dropping the car, and then stubbornly just getting it to work. So it is possible. It just sucks.
Yeah, that's so. As I was doing the high flow cats on mine, and using because there's 3 different combination. There's the factory manifolds have one is a bolt, one is a stud going backward, and one is a stud going forward. And which luckily it's a Texas car, so they weren't too rusty. There was only one. I only had to break one of them to get it off.
Oh, nice.
I was like looking up at the manifolds, and I'm like, there is no way I would be able to do anything with that. And like, which I was stupidly, I have ready access to a 2-post lift, but I'm doing this raised at the top of some Harbor Freight jack stands in my garage at home because I'm stubborn. And if I'm going to go to the shop that has a lift in it, I'm going to work on the Camaro and not this thing. So, then I guess I don't remember. I guess the last time we recorded, I had the cats, but didn't have them on yet. Maybe
I don't think
or
you
maybe
had
I was just talking about getting them. I don't remember, but
I could look at the photos and that'll tell us.
So, not or was that all you had on your updates?
That's all I got. I mean, like that's all I've been doing. The only other update I had, or not even an update, just the only thing I've been doing is actual work stuff, and I got to shoot green lasers today, and that's cool. So,
Freaking laser beams.
freaking laser. Well, green's the only like. I can be a nerd for a second. Green is the only laser that's like in the visible spectrum. So like when you're shooting the green laser, the whole room lights up green. You have to have these like, you always have to have special goggles anyways, but then like for green, you have to have an extra special set of goggles that completely filters out green light. It's fucking wild.
So it's a green laser, but you can't actually see that it's green when you have the goggles on?
Oh, you can still like it, like if I have the goggles on, like I'm all lit up green because of the reflection from the laser. Yeah, so the green is for like high reflective stuff. So like aluminums, magnesiums, gold, stuff like that. So it's this is the first time I've worked with the green laser, and it's kind of cool.
And the laser is just being used to weld?
This is a weld. I guess this one we're actually doing direct energy deposition, so like 3D printing type stuff.
Oh, cool.
And at this point,
I'll send you my designs.
All right, I can do it. I know a guy. But
yeah, at my old job, we could 3D print plastic parts.
I think I have access to that.
Slightly different.
I'm pretty sure we have some plastic printers. I don't know where they're actually seated. The only other thing I did over break was that I talked about the 3-spoke steering wheel for the 300ZX because of course I need a steering wheel for a car I don't have an engine for.
Well, clearly,
yeah. So that style doesn't line up to the clock spring that the airbag one has, and they don't really sell a clock spring for the one that I want to use. So I had to 3D print a part that like bridges the gap between the end of the snout of the steering wheel and then interfaces with the turn signal stopper. So I had to like design and create like an extra, I don't know, 1/2 inch, maybe it was 3/4 of an inch, whatever, that had that same design so that when I turn the steering wheel, it clicks the stopper for my blinker and then goes back. So and I was too impatient to go to work and do it on SolidWorks. So I downloaded Fusion 360, learned how to use Fusion 360, designed it, ordered it from a 3D printing company, and just paid the $20 for it to show up.
So I've seen the way that Fusion works compared to SolidWorks is like upside down and backwards.
Kinda.
So did it like frustrate you to no end to try? Because my issue with Fusion is I want it to work like Adobe Illustrator, because Adobe Illustrator at its core is kind of a drafting program.
Yep.
And it's just similar enough to make you go absolutely batshit crazy.
So the real challenge was that I first tried to do it on my laptop without a mouse.
Oh no.
That was hard.
No, that's not
I gave it about 5 minutes before I threw my hands up and said, I'm getting the mouse from my gaming sim or my gaming computer. And then I used that, and that made it a lot easier. But yeah, the design or the way they go about it is just different enough to be inconvenient. So you think you know what you're doing, and then you have to kind of change for it. But yeah, I mean, it was a really basic design. It was basically, a cylinder inside of a cylinder, and then it had like 2 little nubs sticking out, and that was about it. So it was a super easy design, knocked it out real quick, and then found on Craft Cloud somebody local-ish that could print it and ship it for $20. And I was like, yeah, I'll just do that.
Nice. We were roaming through Nebraska Furniture Mart back right before Christmas, and they had a display that had some Creality printers in it, and just an open flatbed 3D printer, $279 now, with like a 8-inch square, like 8-inch cube work area. I was like, man, that's cheap enough for me to like get one and just mess around with it and see what I can, see what kind of things I can screw up with it. But,
I certainly had a Dalton moment where I was like, I can order this piece for $20.
just buy this for $5,000.
Or I can spend a few $100 and get a printer. And then, luckily, this thought was in the middle of almost the end of December, and I'm like, no, you're not buying a fucking thing right now. So, didn't buy it. But yeah, I finally gotten to the point where I was like, there's things that I could use this for. I have other projects of things I have designed that I haven't paid to have printed yet. And I was like, I could just buy the printer. But, oh well.
Yeah, you can get like a pretty decent enclosed one for like $600-700 or like $500.
Yeah, I'll say $500 goes a long way to get you a decent one.
It's got the learning curve of it is what trips me out on thinking about getting one. It's like the amount of time I need to devote to just like figuring out, like how you need to do support structures and all that stuff on pieces is that. And I guess it's down to the processing software for the printer itself that generates a lot of that on its own, I'm sure. But
yeah, no, I mean, Craft Cloud's so cheap. You're just kind of like you just upload your design, the whole file, and then it just automatically has like 50 companies. Like I'm sure it's just guys in their garages, but like they just like again, like I had some stuff I had designed for. Some aero parts that I was thinking about experimenting with, and like it was gonna be like $100 to print them, and so I didn't. But like it was just kind of like you could pick and choose like any material you wanted, and like you could actually get it printed out of metal. Like there were other companies that were doing that, so it's just kind of wow. you have all these options, all these colors, all just whatever infill you want. It's just kind of like so like with that piece for the steering wheel, it's just like I want it out of ABS. And I know that printing with ABS kind of is a pain in the dick, so I'll just have somebody else do that. And then like the difference between like 30% infill and 100% infill was like $2. I was like, oh yeah, well then we're just gonna do 100% infill on this.
Yeah, this piece that sits in the steering wheel.
Yeah, it's fine.
We don't need the piece that sits in the steering wheel, like breaking and locking up the steering column or something like that.
Yeah. And then I want it to be ABS, so like if it does get jammed up or anything like that, it's gonna like kind of like not just like break apart. It would more of like a smearing, deforming type of damage.
Yeah,
and like the rest of the plastic inside that is all ABS too. So how do we get here?
You're an engineer. It's fine.
I know what I'm doing. So
yeah, I had a couple of plans for the winter for the car, one of which was getting hats for it to hopefully pick up a little bit of power and just make it a little bit more obnoxious because, it has to be obnoxious because it's a 350Z. But
so what exhaust did you have on that? Like you had stock cats, and then you had an exhaust after that?
Yeah, so stock manifolds and cats, and then it's ISR, Y-pipe, and the single GT with a resonator. So, like, I pulled off before that, I had just cut the stock muffler off and done like a Schoenfeld like header muffler that we had left over from the Camaro, and just had a turn down on it. Stock cats and Y pipe, and then the factory resonator, and then just this like 3-inch nothing of a muffler at the end, and it was loud. Like it was kind of dumb, but it sounded good. Like I think the Y pipe and the factory resonator, if you keep those, like it keeps it fairly mellow.
Yes, it has to have a resonator.
Yeah, you need the resonator in the middle. And doing the ISR, it changed the tone of it, and it really made it quieter. Like it's more throaty at like higher RPM, but it lost some of the, I don't know, it sounded a lot different. But I'd been driving it with that exhaust setup on it for like 8 years or something like that, so I was very just attuned to it.
Yep.
And then looking at like where's the low hanging fruit on it to try to get it to make a little bit more power, because it just feels gutless running at the tracks around here where the gearing's not optimized. So like, what can we do to make it, like where can we go to make a little bit of a noticeable difference in power without spending a ton of money that's kind of just wasted if I ever decide to LS swap it. So did the high flow cats, which had the added benefit of they've got to be at least 3 or 4 pounds a piece lighter than what the factory stuff is. And it's just a single cat element, and it's all 3-inch. So now we're 3-inch from the manifold all the way back, and got them put on. It's kind of a pain, and then go out to drive it, and it gets up to temp, and I just mash the throttle, and like high load, kind of under, like if like low RPM third gear, kind of lug the car a little bit. It just goes and then goes, and I keep messing with it at different RPMs and it seems like 3,000 RPM, you can just mash the gas, wide open throttle. It's happy all the way to red line. But there's these weird, just kind of like over center high load situations where it just kind of coughs and stumbles, and it feels more to think of it in terms of like my old ass brain and a carburetor, or like the Holly setup. It feels like an acceleration enrichment thing where but I can't tell at this point. I don't have logging hooked up on it yet. I can't tell if it's like, is it lean, or is it lean and it's like dumping a bunch of fuel and it's like, I don't know it feels like a fuel situation, but I just don't know if it's lean or rich. And it was just hard to try to nail it down. So
did you like do a let it sit overnight with the battery disconnected, hard reset, anything like that? Kind of like to me it sounded like it needed to be like relearned or something like that. Just the fact that you didn't have cats anymore, or like yeah. So I didn't do that originally. I ended up doing it at one point, and then we had an HP Tuners MPVI 2 tuner from a project that my dad worked on forever ago, and Matt enlightened me to the fact that the VCM program for HP Tuners has an awesome interface and data logging setup. So I grabbed that tuner and got the VCM hooked up. And I initially was watching it with just a cheapy Amazon OBD2 reader that it would only log like every 0.8 of a second, which is completely worthless. I did like a 5-minute data log on a drive like out, and was just trying to replicate the problem over and over and over again. And I got back and I had a 92 line CSV file, and I'm like, that doesn't help me at all. That's not enough.
It was like there was one point where I'm looking at the so the Nissan computer, it has short-term fuel trim and long-term fuel trim, which is essentially the computer like feeding more or less fuel into it to try to hit the target AFRs. And I can tell that it's spiking the short terms in just random places. And whenever I got the HP hooked up, I was able to log it and at a usable frame rate, and also see that, yeah, the short-term fuel trims are like maxing at 25% in just random situations. And then it's like there was a Saturday a couple weeks ago that was like, I don't have anything to do today. I'm gonna buy the credits and get it to where I can put a tune into it with the HP. The HP is fairly limited on like the tables and the parameters that they've done on stuff. Like, it's not super ideal, and it doesn't seem like it's a big enough market for them to put that much effort into it. From like reading the forum, their forum and stuff like that, like people are asking for features and stuff and saying that they're not really getting a lot of feedback from it. So, which I understand, they've got a whole market to deal with, and UpRev and ECU Tech seem to have the market cornered on Nissan stuff. So,
well, UpRev did,
it's weird because it seemed like the website's still up. Like,
I didn't think they were a thing anymore. Like, I thought
you can still buy the tuners and stuff. So I don't know for sure what the status.
I thought they were done like a year ago, but
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like paying attention, but like I was convinced they were gone.
Well, and I saw that on some forum posts too. So it was kind of either way. I don't really want to buy a tuner from a company that everybody says, I don't think this tuner's around anymore. Like, that seems like you don't want that. So got the credits and just sat down with, like, I went out and did a couple of logs to try to see, what was taking place, and then did some reading on, like what tables are available in HP, like what can I mess with. And I got into the target AFR table, which, because the only thing I've really messed with is Holly, and Holly, you've got like a base fuel table and a base timing table, and it's like that's where I'm the most comfortable. Like, and then Holly works off of like throttle position and map sensor reading, and then all the OEM stuff is mass airflow based, and then the Nissan is like engine, like calculated engine load based. So it's kind of flipped from how my brain can process tuning, but the one thing I am flipping around in the tune and I'm looking at is the target AFR table, and the bulk of it is at 14.6, which is like basically in my like hot rod brain, that's lean as hell.
Well, and you wouldn't necessarily want that down low, would you? Like, I fully admit I am not a tuner. The only thing I know is from basically watching Joe tune on my car while he's doing it remotely. I'm just watching the screen.
Yeah.
So like, I'll never be like, oh yeah, you need to do this. I don't have a fucking clue.
Yeah. So like my point of reference is like, hell, on our small block stuff, we're running the target of like 12.7 just because we want this thing fat and happy. Like, we don't want to burn pistons in it, essentially.
Right.
And this target AFR table to me looks like a recipe for disaster. And it's kind of split diagonally across the middle between load and RPM, and the higher RPM, it's getting down into like low 13s, mid 12s. In like high load, like 5,000 RPM, it's good and rich, but everything below that looks like it's tuned more to make sure that it's not making too much emissions.
Yeah, I was gonna say super great for your for an OEM setup. Yeah. So I initially there was like one spot in it that it's like 2,000 to 3,500 RPM and like 80 to 90% load, that there's this spot in it that's not smooth. It's got
like some weird numbers that just don't jive with everything around it. So it seemed to me like, okay, it's getting in that spot and it's having this target fuel ratio that's not in line with everything around it. So it's getting confused right there. And then after you get out of that RPM range, like it all made sense in my head that this one pocket here, maybe if I smooth that out and kind of make this transition in that area better, maybe that'll help it. So that was the first tweak that I did on it and went out, and it felt maybe a little bit better. And also every step along the way of doing this with the HP was like an hour and a half of beating my head against the wall. Like, okay, I want to get the AFRs to display. In which, first of all, I had an AFR sniffer to go in the tailpipe because I didn't think that I could get the wideband readings off of the factory O2 sensors initially.
Oh, shit.
So I spent an hour and a half making sniffer work, only to then stumble across a forum post like 5 hours later that's like, yeah, the Nissan O2 sensors are widebands. You just have to like find this and this and this and go 5 layers deep in this option over here and then transform the voltage in an O2 reading. And then it comes up. I'm like, oh, okay, why didn't I think of that? And then the licensing, I had issues getting the licensing to work. I bought the credits and then got in there and they weren't syncing with the tuners, just like one thing after another. But, so by the end of the day, I had, richened the entire bottom half of the fuel table up, or of the target AFR table up from like the bulk of it was at 14.6. I put it down to like 14.1, just like, let's just knock half a point off of it and just get it to where we're just not so damn lean in just these lower situations and see if the transition into these more enriched sections is better. And it kind of seemed like it made it. But then I also found the setting where you can turn off the correlation between the torque table and the throttle. And it makes it to where the throttle is actually like linear and responsive. It's not getting processed through this other like set of parameters. So, it like made it feel totally different with how it responds to just more throttle input, because the cars always felt kind of laggy to me on that. So
yeah,
like,
and that thought is legit because I know Joe did that with mine too. He's like, I changed. Yeah, basically, as you were just describing, he's like, yeah, change that. He's like, so it's there's no dead spots or there's no delay. And he's like, so it's like, if that's going to be, a pain in the ass to learn, we could dial it back a little bit. And I was like, no, go to make it no delay, and I can learn to deal with the fact that there's no delay.
Yeah, and the weird part of that to me though was it felt like. I don't know, it doesn't close quite as quickly or quite as fully as what it did, but the engine braking doesn't feel like it's as much. Like if you like run it up to a high RPM and then let off of it, the car kind of feels like it just coasts more than it does like, and like loads back down. So I don't know. I was kind of hit or miss on my impression of that particular change just out, driving it around trying to recreate this issue over and over again with the fueling. But, and then, so what kind of like kicked me into high gear on trying to make all of this into a functional package again, post haste is, the Optima series announced their schedule at PRI, and they are a national event series, which is hosting a race in Texas.
No way.
No, yeah.
That's weird because you guys don't have any tracks there.
Yeah, it's strange. And then even better, it's like 45 minutes down the road from me at the new G2 Motorsports Park.
Oh, nice.
Which is like, just north of Dallas. So I'm super excited about that. The registration opens next week, and I'm going to be on like the second it opens. And my dad's going to take the truck also.
Oh, perfect.
And because we are going to be good citizens of the racing community, damn it, and we're going to complain about not having events in Texas, and when there's one in Texas, we're gonna do it.
When is it?
March 13th through the 15th. So
March?
That's the other fun part of
That's
this.
so
it's
early.
Right around the corner.
Damn, I was thinking like, oh man, I gotta have everything ready for April. And
yeah, so March 13th, and there's really not any track events in February. So I have a track event on January 17th, and I have a car that I want to make a bunch of suspension changes to. And then Optima changed the rules. So previously, I would have had to run that car in their GTS class, which I would have been running against other two-seat sports cars like Corvettes and Vipers and
of course
GTRs. All-wheel drive cars are also in that. And they've had for a long time, they've had a GTC class, which is compact, which has always traditionally been either like modern 4-cylinder cars or older 4 and 6-cylinder cars. So it would capture like, if you had like an air-cooled Porsche or something like that, it would capture that. And they tweaked the rules this year to say 4 or 6-cylinder cars with no exceptions on like your model or anything.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be able to run against Miatas and Civics instead of Corvettes and GTRs and Vipers and things like that.
Which is where the 350Z should be.
And yeah. And I mean, it's like it's a weird, it's just like it is in grid life. It's kind of a weird in between. Like you look at the car from the outside and you think like, oh, this is much closer to that car over there that has the V8 and the 315s on it than it is the Miata over here. But if it still has the VQ in it, no, it's not.
No, it's not. I can assure you, it's not. Yeah, and like even if you put, the best LS and like the best suspension and the best whatever, you're like, you can spend a shitload of money, it still won't be a Corvette.
You can like, you can go like. I feel like Sasha's the only one that's like really maximized the entire package of a car, and that car has a KERS system on it.
Yep.
And a 4.2 liter stroked like balls out crazy NA VQ in it. Like that car is like a science project.
Yes.
And it is that fast, but man, like that's so far beyond the realm of what anybody's doing with these cars outside of outside of him.
Exactly.
So yeah, got a HPDE on the 17th, and I have a car that doesn't want to run right. So
when Joe messages me next week, do I just give him your number or do I give his number to you?
Well, so the thing about this was I needed to run right like now. And I've been debating for like a month and a half looking at this Z1 ECU Tech package that you tell them what all mods you've got. They send you the tuner and a tune. I'm like, the car, like, there's like 7 bolt-on things that you can do with these cars.
You haven't done anything super crazy with it.
Yeah. They have the book on it. So I pulled the trigger on it yesterday, and it will be here on Friday, and hopefully I will have a tune by then. And hopefully this weekend I will be running it with that tune in, and that will give me increased just overall power.
Yep.
Flat shifting.
Yes.
Changed throttle profile. Launch control. It'll be tuned. I did the level 2, so it's tuned for the cats. And I also ordered their big tube, not the 3-inch, but the 2.5-inch intakes for it. That'll put. And I did with they have like the base intake setup that has small cones, or they have the race setup that you have to like cut the crash bumper, and it's got great big giant ones with velocity stacks in them that they say is good for another like 5 to 10 horsepower over the intakes on their own. So
yep, because that's what I got.
Yeah, so
but mine's modified because I hated the way it went in front of the radiator.
I'm not super, which mine's still got the crash bumper on it, and it all sits above that, so it's not really taking a lot away from the cooling on it. I haven't ever had cooling issues with the car, but it's also always been on the factory like timing map and everything. So we'll see. I may find after this that I need to be doing a bigger radiator and whatever else.
Because you're going to have so much more power and you're going to be carrying so much like more speed.
But
those usually come with like what, 5 tunes?
It's 4 levels. So there's like a performance, and I told them 93 because I always run 93.
Yeah, of course.
So there's performance, and then there's performance with the burble.
I figured. I was going to say, usually they didn't do that. They usually came with one, like, if you wanted the off the shelf one, it would always come with like a burble, or like for a while they were coming with a flame tune.
Yeah, no.
But I think they've blown up enough of those motors to stop doing that.
Or just blow the exhaust off of them. I don't know, like that stuff. Yeah, it's a whole other topic. But that funny, one of the only things that I could see that HP had added to the Nissan tuning tables over the past couple of years was there's a bunch of extra timing maps in there that is all to do with like the
off throttle.
Yeah, so you can do burble pop tunes with it. I was like, oh, well, at least I have this.
the other day I went to go get gas with the Sonic, and like there's a guy at the stoplight next to me in BMW M whatever car, and the only reason I noticed it is because it was the P28 purple code, and this is the first time I'd ever actually seen that purple in reality. So I'm sitting there like admiring the car, and he takes off from the light and then like lets off and does the burble thing, and then and so he's just doing and it's like, you're ruining this great experience I was having.
Correct. Yeah, every one of them around here. If it's got wheels on it, it also goes.
Yep. And so he'd run up on the car behind him and then just do the burble cackle whatever bullshit, and then just drop way back, and then of course he'd drop back to where I was, and then pull ahead, and then do like it. Bro, now I'm mad I saw your car today.
Yeah. So yeah, it's performance, and then performance with burble, and then an eco that you can run 87 on, which I've never put 87 in that car. Those cars are 11-to-1 compression. I'm not doing that.
Yep.
And then a security mode that's just like a limited,
like a valet
speed,
mode,
limited power. Yeah. Which again,
probably never used.
Nobody's ever valeting my car that's got fixed backs and a roll bar in it. Like,
and at that point, like, I think you're fine. I guess it would never crosses my mind to not just throw them the keys if I'm in that situation. But
yeah,
maybe I just trust people. Just kidding. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
I believe in the good of people.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. Check back in the next episode whenever I'm calling Joe, going, I got this thing from Z1 and it doesn't work. I don't know what to do.
He's gonna call me and be.
He's gonna be like, that idiot.
Fucking idiot.
That sucker. And then I also, Matt whenever he brought the engine parts to me, he brought an ECU that he had been running on his before he switched to a standalone that had been tuned on uprev. And it's been sitting there on the shelf in my garage, and I'm just like, I
just plug it in.
If I did it, I was gonna hook the HP to it and watch all the watch the AFRs and everything, and see,
just try to mimic it.
Just see what it's doing, just to make sure. Like, I'm gonna go out and just drive it super conservative and just see, not knowing for sure, what. I think I don't think his had anything done to it, and he said it made really good power on it. But there's part of me that was just a little weirded out by just throwing a random ECU from a guy in a van. And
yeah.
I don't know, the thing that really kind of just made me want to go ahead and do it was the extra stuff that they do on that with the flat shift and all that stuff. I don't know if I'll actually use it or not.
Yes, you will. I can assure you. It's awesome.
it seems
It's not going to be as loud or eventful as the Haltech does, but it's still awesome.
Yeah. One so I was messing around in the back hatch area, and like I still had those cars. The spare tire sits in the middle of the hatch area, and then there's these big plastic and foam things that sit on each side of it.
Yep.
That make it like a level floor across the top. And all of that crap, whenever you're on, especially on an autocross course, all of that stuff is back there just going every corner. And I was looking at something in the looking because I had to switch batteries to run the Optima series because they won't let you run a lawnmower battery in your car like what I had. So,
well, I assumed the Optima series rule number 1 is you must run an Optima battery.
It doesn't expressly say that, but coincidentally, the Optima reserve capacity level
all right,
that they require.
Say that again because you were doing so good, and then the internet decided it didn't want to listen. Because again, you had something important to say, so it stopped.
Mm-hmm. So coincidentally, the rule for reserve capacity matches up exactly with the Optima battery that fits my car. It seems coincidental, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're just a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. In which the car weighs 3,300 pounds. The 13 pounds I can save on the battery is not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Until I rip the air conditioning out of it, none of this matters. And that's not going to happen. So I was looking in the back at like, what would it take for me to rear mount the battery in this thing where if I'm going to put a 31 pound battery in, I'm at least going to make it slightly better for the bias. And I'm looking at those two pieces like, all right, those are coming out, and pulled a little bit more, like chipped a little bit more sound deadening out of it while I was doing it. And then I got all that put back in and did some other stuff and then started it up the other night. And I was like, oh, that's like way louder than what it was. It like now when it starts and it's on the cold start, there's things resonating in the back of the car that have not resonated before. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're turning more and more race car just a little bit at a time.
Yep. We're almost there, man. We're almost there. We're so close.
Yeah. But so the rest of my things, I got to put the intakes on and then get the tune loaded in hopefully this weekend. And then I'm going to tweak because I'm running the GK Tech angle kit on the front. And I was reading there was a guy who posted in the Z Track group here recently asking about running that angle kit on a track car. I'm like, ooh, curious. I've been doing this for like 5 years now or 4 years now. So yeah, let's see what the hive mind says about running this drift car thing on your track car, and probably tell me that I'm an idiot. And so Michael Hilo Stubbs had replied almost immediately to this guy and said like the quicker steering is like super welcome on the Z's, but if you run it in, because the version 2 of that kit has 2 different options for Ackerman setting, and I was like, give me all the Ackerman because I want this thing to turn in like a bat out of hell. And he said, like, if you do the higher Ackerman setting, like it can kind of make the car unpredictable and a little bit twitchy feeling. And I'm like, well, yeah,
that tracks.
Those are, so my buddy Daniel late last year co-drove it with me at an autocross late in the year, and he immediately, like, we went out, did a 180 U-turn and up to another 180 U-turn, and in the second U-turn he just like planted it about 30 degrees sideways and rode it all the way through in just a smooth drift. He was like, yeah, it's a little twitchy, kind of tail happy.
You don't say.
Yeah, so I'm gonna change. I've got a bunch of different suspension change ideas on my mind, but I'm only gonna do one of them to be like a reasonable, like, somewhat intelligent human being. So
what a logical way of doing things.
Yeah. So I'm just going to do the Ackerman change and then just realign it back to where I had it basically like 0 or a little bit out. Yeah, just see how that feels.
See, I was always curious how you felt about the Ackerman, because like mine is the version 1 that doesn't have any of the Ackerman adjustments. It's just where it is. So yeah, I'd never played with that, so it's kind of nice to know that maybe I don't want to.
Yeah, mine. The only time like I really know for sure that it has it is like if you're like low speed turning around in a parking lot or something, like the inside tire like chirps on the front.
Oh, sure.
Like because it's like it's kicking that much further over, and like the turn in is insane. Like the car is super responsive getting into the corner, but it's also not very predictable for when it's gonna break loose. And I also don't know the other part of this is to go up on rear spring rate and softer on sway bar to try to just like overall stiffen up the car in the back, but soften the roll of it to try to like because I've got a Hotchkiss sway bar on it, and like
What?
all the fast guys that I read are just running way more spring rate and no rear bar.
Yeah, so I got no rear bar, but
Yeah.
I'm not running way more spring rate. I'm running like 7K.
So mine are like,
But I'm true. I'm true
well,
divorce.
yeah, you're true versus yeah. Like mine is still it's out of the box Olin's Road and Track springs,
Okay.
so they're super soft.
That'd be pretty soft then.
Because the car I ran the stock sway bar on it for a while to go softer.
Yep.
And it was dead. It just pushed everywhere. It was impossible to get it to rotate. So like I need to find some medium ground to where like you can push the car and then ride that edge and like actually, because right now it feels like it's either firmly planted or it's lost the back end.
Yep.
And it's really hard to ride kind of like some slip on it. And I know the times that I've been able to like trail brake the car and get it to rotate in a little bit on the brakes and then just like huck it in and go, like the car, like it has pace. It's just really scary to try to get it to do that.
Yep.
Because you don't know when it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be nice, or oh yeah, I'm going to bitch slap you and tell you that I'm boss.
Yeah. Sneak out and bite you.
Yeah. So Ackerman changed first, and then I've tracked down some because I want to keep the divorced springs because I don't want to like go in and brace the rear of the car up to keep it from folding itself in half with true coilovers on it on track.
But I will I'll let you know that Michael Hilo is selling a set of.
Oh yeah, the KW V3s. Yeah, yeah. He listed his original set of Penske's back forever ago for a really
reasonable price. Yep.
Really ridiculous price for Penske's, especially after you start looking at MCSs and Fortunes.
Yep. Yeah, because when he first posted that, it was like the week after I bought my Fortunes, and I was like, I'm not mad about having my Fortunes. That worked out. But
yeah,
man, I think I would have bought those Penske's had he put those for sale maybe a week or two prior.
And if nothing else on the Penske's, because that's what we did on the Camaro forever ago, and they were awesome to work with. And like if I got them and I had a problem with them, I would just call them up and be like, here's my corner weights, here's my unsprung weights, here's what the car's doing, here's my springs, fix it.
Yep. And then you'd get the answer that day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could just send them in and they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll do this with the, this with this valve and this, and because like one of the times I called him whenever we were doing the Camaro stuff, he was like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit before I can check this out because I got a whole pile of IndyCar springs here or IndyCar shocks that we're going through. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool.
I guess.
Yeah. And that's I got the feeling at the end, or I really got it watching my car being driven on an autocross course that the shocks are probably in need of a rebuild, but the ship has sailed on that because it's January and there's an event in 10 days. So
yeah.
So I'm hoping that make some little tweaks and get it back where I want it. And so I'm going to 5 Yokohamas back on. That cured a lot of things because
So when you have the grip of a yoke, it kind of masks everything else. That's how I felt about the Bridgestones.
Yeah. Because I took it to 2 events with those. I did 2 track events with it on those, and both times it was like I just need to nut up because I can't push the car hard enough to make these tires like get mad. So, and that's the way I've always felt about the yokes.
Yeah.
It's the most forgiving, like widest range on a tire I've felt of any of the ones that we ever ran. So
yeah, no, the RE71 are ours. I haven't had the S's, but yeah, that was that way too. It's just like I felt planted, and then I go to anything else, and I was like, I gotta completely fuck with my setup because I'm understeering, like pushing through corners. So just always something.
Yeah. So tunes come in, intakes come in, do some alignment. Got some Koenigs ordered in 18x11. So
nice.
We've got the second set of takeoff AO52s that I'm just going to stick on those because, 275s are $2,000 now.
Don't even get me started. But like they posted, fuck, what tire was it? The new tire. I can't think of who makes it. Is it the Hoosiers? Yeah. I was curious what the new R8s or Track Attack 8s or whatever the hell the new ones are. When they posted those, I was like, I'm curious what Tire Rack charges for those. They're like $450 a tire.
Yeah, which that's just the new like DOT slick, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And like those were always crazy, but yeah, it's even farther beyond. So yeah, he just ordered a set of 315 yokes for the truck, and he went back and forth on it for like 3 weeks.
I get that. I get that.
And my dad is not one to be that concerned with like whenever the race car or the race truck needs something, like
that's the cost. It is what it is.
It gets made to happen. And he was going back and forth on it, going like, this is nuts. Like, it's not great, but
no.
But yeah, it's this silly hobby that we have for ourselves. So.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, well, I'd say that's it for our Z-Boy updates. I probably have an episode here celebrating our 10-year anniversary here coming up at the end of the month.
Look for a 2-hour compilation of the best of 10 years of 10 Tenths.
That's so much work. I'm not doing that. I didn't even fix the screen right. I'm not going back to episodes. Fuck that.
For that, I will make 2 social posts between shows.
No, I will do every effort I can to get Adam back on the show and make sure he's on. So we'll schedule around him if we have to. But yeah, I at this point just kind of hurry up and wait waiting for season. I think we'll probably talk about plans and what we expect to do. Obviously, you're going to do the Optima, and then we'll kind of see what my schedule looks like it's going to be and see if we can drag Adam out, review things. But
we still haven't done our review of the changes to the Grid Life schedule and rules. So.
Yep, I've had time to think about it, so we can definitely talk about it one of these episodes. But yeah,
we can do a mid-season review.
That's fine. Just in time for the changes to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from everyone here at 10 Tenths Podcast, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Dusty.
We'll catch everybody next week.